Details.
An opera singer has been murdered in California. Santa Monica police have arrested the 31-year-old son of 71-year-old opera singer Jubilant Sykes. Unclear what led up to the stabbing. A Waymo driverless car drove into the scene of an ongoing police arrest in downtown L.A. Officers hadn't yet blocked off the traffic when the vehicle drove through. Waymo tells ABC News the vehicle was in the area for no more than 15 seconds. Texas leaders have launched a partnership with Turning Point USA.
Governor Greg Abbott wants to see a chapter of Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA in every high school in the state. As it is, says Abbott,
Texas ranks #1 in America for the most high school Club America programs.
Texas Democratic State Rep Vince Perez sees a problem.
You're having the government now handpick organizations that they want in there, and they're calling that free speech.
Abbott promises disciplinary action against any district that tries to keep Club America groups from forming in its high schools. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Dallas.
Notre Dame's athletic director Pete Bavacqua about being left out of the 12-team college football playoff.
It just boggles my mind that when we got off that plane that Sunday morning in snowy South Bend after the Stanford game, that was it. And that's not the way this season deserved to end with the performance of our football team.
The team did get an invitation to play in a bowl game in Orlando, the Pop-Tarts Bowl. He said no. Wayne Cabot, ABC News.
Now there's a new way to take charge of your blood sugar. Introducing new Garlic Healthy Blood Sugar Formula from the makers of the nation's best-selling garlic supplement. New Garlic helps maintain healthy blood sugar levels with clinically supported levels of garlic, plus a custom blend of vitamins and minerals, and it's odor-free. Take charge of your blood sugar with new Garlic Healthy Blood Sugar Formula. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
It's now 4:05. Good afternoon. I'm Will Feloy. This is again KVNU for the People Show with our top local stories. Well, Cache County Councilwoman Barbara Tidwell announcing yesterday that she is resigning effective December 31st, citing a desire to spend more time with her husband following his serious health issue. Tidwell wrote in an email to colleagues that time spent with her husband is the most important endeavor in her life. Her resignation comes less than a week after she confirmed that she would not seek re-election for her seat, which is set to expire at the end of 2027. Now, county officials praised Tidwell for her nearly decade of service, calling her a tireless advocate for her constituents. Now, Tidwell served as both chair and vice chair of the council during her tenure. Now, the vacancy for the Logan 2 seat will be filled now by the Cache County Republican Party's chosen successor within 45 days of her resignation. That successor will serve through 2026, but must win the 2026 general election in order to be able to serve the remainder of the original term. Meanwhile, Cache Coffee co-owners Mindy and Jamie Butters are grappling with the denial of an insurance claim after a large tree fell through the roof of their roastery, which also stores personal equipment. Now, Jamie Butters said that after the community quickly mobilized to help clean up the damage, the insurance company denied the claim, classifying the structure as strictly a business, even though the owners consider it an extension of their home. Now, Mindy Butters said it's been overwhelming, the amount of love that they have been able to feel from the community, and it's helped to offset the call that they received from the insurance company claiming that their claim was denied. Now, despite the financial setback, the roaster itself was undamaged, which is allowing the business to continue operations. The Butters, who usually focus on community giving, are now asking for support through coffee purchases and Venmo donations that have been posted on their Facebook page. They also express gratitude for the community and various local entities who have helped clean up the damage. And the Cache Bar spearheaded a major fundraising effort over the Thanksgiving holiday in an effort to try to ensure that hundreds of families in Cache Valley had a turkey for Thanksgiving, raising enough money to cover the Cache Community Food Pantry's entire holiday turkey goal. Now, the Logan Bar donated half of its November food sales and tripled all matching donations to meet the pantry's needs for roughly 900 to 1,000 turkeys. Now, Director Matt Whitaker had told Cache Bar owner Mark Lunt that they were hoping for good donations this year so they would not have to spend too much. Now, upon hearing that, the Cache Bar stepped in to raise the full amount, ensuring that every family Tire, winter travel going to be coming, and that's why you need safe, reliable tires. Get into Discount Tire now. You can save on your favorite brands. They also offer layaway, no credit check financing, and 12 months, no interest. It's a Discount Tire and Automotive in Logan, Providence, and Smithfield. We'll check your local news. Coming up again at the bottom of the hour is KVNU News Time. It is now 4:08, and KVNU's For the People Show with Jason Williams is coming up next.
This is Dr. Paul Daines at Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. This time of year is filled with wonderful sounds, from music and family parties to an I love you from a grandchild. Don't miss any of these special moments. Let us help you or a loved one with a plan to improve your quality of life through better hearing. Visit us at 485 North Main Street in Logan or call to make an appointment at 753-4327. That's 753-HEAR or find us at cachehearing.com.
Covering the news that affects your life. News Talk KVNU, 610 AM, 102.1 FM, and online at 610kvnu.com.
I love living here, where we get to enjoy all 4 seasons. But I'll be honest, I don't love cold weather. We used to have drafty cold rooms in our home, no matter how high we cranked up the thermostat. So I called Cardinals Insulation. They inspected our home, found where the heat was escaping, and added insulation. It even lowered our energy bill. If your home has cold spots, drafty rooms, or your heater never seems to shut off, call Cardinals Insulation at 755-5012. That's 755-5012. Or look them up online. Cardinals Insulation in Logan.
Hi, I'm Maddie from CAPSA. The holidays remind us of what truly matters: kindness, compassion, and community. At CAPSA, whether you're donating time, household goods, or direct funds, your gift brings healing and safety to survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault. Every single dollar helps someone find hope. Visit CAPSA.org to see how you can give the gift of new beginnings this season. Together, we make the holidays brighter for everyone.
KVNU's For the People with Jason Williams and Bill Walter.
And it is Utah known as the fraud capital of the world. Not because we have more people committing fraud, but because we have so many people falling for it.
Going beneath the headlines and connecting you to the newsmakers.
The radio is a great way to get the word out to a lot of people in an emergency. So we thank you for your help and being a partner with us.
For the People on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM, 102.1 FM, online at 610kvnu.com, and on the KVNU mobile app.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. It is Tuesday, December 9th. I'm Jason Williams. 52 degrees here at 4:11 in the afternoon. A little bit of sunshine there for half an hour this afternoon, but otherwise a pretty cloudy day here in Cache Valley with some unseasonably warm temperatures. Enjoy. I'm sure it won't stick around. Coming up on the show today, we have summaries, finally, of the legislation that will be debated 2 hours from now. Yes, they postponed it by an hour, meaning I was hoping we'd be able to check in live today during the special session to hear some of the floor debate because it's probably going, well, I don't know. It's either going to be funny or infuriating. This is the temper tantrum special session, and several resolutions are going to be discussed and voted on, and I guarantee they'll pass. Resolutions that are basically the equivalent of one of those 23-paragraph all-caps Facebook comments that you see sometimes. The legislature is just mad. The big meanies in the judiciary have told them they have to follow the Constitution and respect the will of voters, and they're just they can't. They're beside themselves. But that, as I said yesterday, is kind of a smokescreen for why they're actually holding this special session, which is they're talking about it as if it's all about this redistricting ruling and how mad they are and how they want to buy some time for their appeal, which they know is DOA. What they're really doing in this special session is repealing a law passed in the session earlier this year that took collective bargaining away from public employee unions, and the firefighters, the police, the teachers, laborers, electricians, and more banded together and collected signatures for a referendum to repeal the law through a referendum process. They haven't officially put this on the ballot yet, but they have the signatures. It would be on the ballot in 2026, and the concern lawmakers have that they're not expressing is that like the referendum that was going on for the increased sales tax on food a few years ago that ended up in that next election year costing a couple of lawmakers their seats with the anti-incumbent sentiment that was prevalent and increased turnout because of that sentiment. Well, lawmakers are seeing the writing on the wall. They see that this referendum is going to be on the ballot. It's going to increase turnout, and that increased turnout will likely have an anti-incumbent vibe to it, as the kids say. So they're hoping to head that off and keep their elected offices by repealing their own law in December when everyone's busy with the holidays. That's the real reason this session is happening. But we have the legislation now, and we'll break it down for you what exactly will change, because there are some election changes that will be voted on today in the special session. Again, we had hoped to check in at 5 when it was originally scheduled to start. They've bumped it back until 6. So this actually won't begin until For the People ends today. So as soon as I'm off the air, you can switch over to le.utah.gov and watch the action live. And I'm using the word action very, very loosely there. It's not exciting, but if you want a taste of what a temper tantrum special session looks like, this is your opportunity. That will be playing out roughly 6 to 8 p.m., maybe 9 p.m. tonight. I doubt it goes more than 2 hours, but it's possible. And that will begin, well, strangely enough, they've actually set a really specific start time for the special session today. It was originally supposed to start at 4. They moved that back to 5. Now they've moved it back to 6. And then they moved it back to 6:11. I have absolutely no idea why, but the live streams start at 6:11 tonight. And by law, those live streams have to start the same time that they gavel in, so you won't miss a thing. So, yeah, I have no idea why 6:11, but that's when it starts. We also have a sneak preview of this week's episode of Sutherland Institute's Defending Ideas, and I'm particularly excited about this one. They're talking about something that never gets discussed for some reason. I've been a big fan of Governor Cox and Governor Herbert before him pushing alternatives to college. Now, I'm a big fan of college. I think college should be more affordable. I think it should be easier for people to go there. I think the experience itself is almost as important as the education you get. And I think, looking at the data, there's really no better way to improve your wages than a 4-year college degree. That said, there are a lot of 4-year college degrees that can actually work against you. Right now, if you're interested in software development, for example, and you go get a 4-year computer science degree, you're actually less employable after getting that degree through an accredited university than you are if you go take a 6-month, 18-month, 2-year associate's program of sorts through a technical college like B-Tech or Davis Tech. You can get very specific education on 1 or 2 programming languages. Maybe that's to work on the back end of websites and databases. Maybe it's to work with AI and more complex systems, remote systems and more. Either way, you can go through that program much more quickly, and you're more likely to get hired right out of school than a person with a computer science degree from a 4-year computer science bachelor's degree and from a university. And the reason for that is that the technology changes so fast that a lot of companies prefer to hire someone coming out of school after 2 years as opposed to 4, because a computer science degree, by the time you graduate and they're looking for a job, a lot of times what you learned in your freshman and sophomore year is now out of date. That's how quickly things change. So that's one example. There are others. And again, this isn't, a House Speaker Mike Schultz anti-college rant. That guy has a real thorn in his side about university and college education. He didn't go to college. I don't know if that's the reason, but he takes it a little bit too far. College degrees can really help you in most fields. But again, there are some where it can hurt you, and there are some where it's just kind of unnecessary. So the Governor Cox, and Governor Herbert before him have pushed kind of focusing on and beefing up the trade school world. The associate's degrees, the more hands-on training you get through a technical college. It's still a degree. It's still an accredited college, but you can do it in 18 months or 2 years or 6 months for some of the boot camp programs. and go specifically into fields like welding or mechanics, food services, nursing, things like that. So it's an important thing to have these included in the whole education opportunity basket, if you will. But rarely does anyone talk about a third option, which, granted, is only applicable in some very specific fields, but it's known as the paid apprenticeship. And this is something I've not heard leaders in any state really focusing on this, as they've focused on technical schools and making four-year college degrees more accessible. Not many mentions over the last few years of apprenticeships. Well, Sutherland Institute today is cracking that egg open. And this is something our listeners will get to hear a sneak preview of coming up later on in the show. So just a preview of what's in store for the programming tonight. Also, Cache County Republicans are wasting no time to replace outgoing Councilmember Barbara Tidwell. Details on that as things progress coming up in just a bit here on KVNU's For the People.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
This Christmas, give the gift of diamond jewelry from S.E. Needham Jewelers. Choose from our beautiful selection of diamond pendants and diamond earrings from our new Rhythm of Love collection. Featured in this unique collection are diamonds that move and sparkle with every heartbeat. It is breathtaking technology and will be cherished for a lifetime. Prices starting at only $199. Guys, she'll be impressed with your fine taste as you give her the gift of diamond jewelry wrapped in our signature gift wrap. Come today. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7. S.E. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block, at the sign of the clock.
There's something new brewing in Wellsville. The new Sam Patch Grocer and Sundry store is here. The grand opening festivities are Friday from 3 to 6, starting with the ribbon cutting. The first 1,000 Sam Patch social followers will get free samples of burgers and hot dogs, live music, donuts, chips, and Sam Patch salsa, Coke and Pepsi, and so much more. Meet USU basketball players and enter shooting contests, giveaways, and prizes. That's the Sam Patch Grocer and Sundry store grand opening Friday from 3 to 6 at the stoplight on the highway in Wellsville. Listen for a live radio broadcast.
Let's be honest. When it comes to plumbing, crap happens. The good news? You've got a trusted friend who's been in your home for years. JM Mechanical, one of the biggest names in HVAC, knows plumbing. From faucets that drip to boilers and water softeners, the JM Mechanical plumbing team fixes problems fast and backs it up with guaranteed results. Call 563-6267 today. JM Mechanical Plumbing. They know plumbing.
Aggie basketball is heard here.
You know, there's a pride in this.
KVNU is your station for the best game day coverage. With pregame beginning 1 hour before tip-off, play-by-play and postgame interviews and Aggie call afterwards. It's Aggie basketball on News Talk KVNU 610 AM, 102.1 FM. Online at kvnutalk.com and the KVNU mobile app. The Heritage Home for the Aggies.
Cache County Clerk Bryson Bem is acknowledging that special election to replace outgoing council member Barbara Tidwell is a bit confusing. He told Charlie Schill that the state code has a bunch of different situations depending on the timelines of when people were elected, when they resign, and all of that. And so one of those confusing situations is about to play out. The filing period actually opened today for the seat that Tidwell currently occupies. And this would be, of course, one day after her announcement that her resignation would be effective on December 31st. So she's filling out her term the remainder of the year. Tidwell was reelected to a 4-year term in 2024. And so she's one year into it. She'll have served 1 year of that 4-year term. And so that, Bem says, creates some confusing circumstances on what state law requires in that situation. So because state law blocks a special election to a full term, that means that whoever files starting today December 9th officially. The filing period will remain open until 11 a.m. on January 9th. So it's a really lengthy filing period, 1 month. But anyone who files to run and who is successfully elected in this special election that will play out for county Republican delegates only, will be elected to fill out 2026. So filing period opens today, closes January 9th at 11 a.m. And whoever wins the special election, which will take place on January 17th, will serve to the end of 2026. And then they'll serve beyond 2026, but officially they will have to run for re-election also in 2026 to serve beyond the end of 2026. Does that make sense? I hope so. So again, whoever files to run between December 9th and January 9th at 11 a.m. is the cutoff date on January 9th. On January 17th at Ridgeline High School, the Cache County Republican Party will hold a special election to fill the seat that Tidwell is leaving. And the winner of that special election will immediately assume the spot on the council, but also immediately will need to begin, if they choose, campaigning for re-election in November. So they'll take the seat at in January of 2026, and they'll need to be re-elected in November of 2026 to hold that office for the remaining 2 years of Tidwell's term, which are not up until 2028. So after that term, that 2-year term is up, the council seat will go back to a normal 4-year election term. This is all state code. I know it's confusing, but the goal of the code, the goal of this statute is to prevent anyone from being elected to a full term in a special election, acknowledging that a special election is usually just the delegates of a party as opposed to all registered voters who would qualify to vote. And so the state code says this is how it has to work. So again, filing period opens today, stays open until 11 a.m. January 9th. Then the special election will take place at Ridgeline High School on January 17th. The winner of that election will immediately assume their role on the council, replacing Barbara Tidwell. And then if they want to serve beyond December 31st of next year, December 31st, 2026, they will need to run and be reelected in November of 2026, next fall. So that's the timeline for all of this. They put this together. Hats off to not only the current leadership of the Cache Republican Party, but a few handfuls of leaders going back a bit. It has been quite a time for special elections in Cache Valley, between a lot of turnover at the county level and some surprise retirements and things like that, going all the way back to the longtime county clerk announcing her retirement in August, I believe, of that year. And then I think we're on our third clerk since then. And yes, we are. And then, of course, some shakeups on the council itself and in some of the department heads and more. Anyway, there's been a lot of turnover in the elected positions and other positions at Cache County. So a pretty, unexpected timeline, if you will, for a lot of this. So it's going to be, I hope, settling down. Cache GOP Chair Natalie Levi said that potential candidates should submit their applications electronically to the chair at chaircashgop@gop.com. And again, that is on or before the 11 a.m. January 9th deadline. So you can send them in starting today, and the deadline is 11 a.m. January 9th. If you prefer not to submit an application electronically by emailing them to chaircashgop@gop.com, then you can actually mail them in and you should mail a signed paper application to Cash GOP at P.O. Box 43, Logan, Utah, 84323. So that's, again, Cash GOP at P.O. Box 43, Logan, Utah. So all declarations of candidacy for the county election next year must be filed in person at the Cache County Clerk's office during regular business hours. So, again, that is to say that there's this open candidate filing period now that whoever files and then wins the special election on the 17th will become a council member throughout 2026 in that special election. But to serve beyond 2026, they would need to be reelected to the final 2 years of the term in 2026, November of 2026. So that means there will be a second opportunity for people to file and challenge this person that wins the special election. So basically, you're going to have, in 2026, you're going to have 2 elections play out for one county council seat. And again, that is mandated by state code. That isn't a choice of, I'm sure that Cache County Republican Party leadership would prefer a much more simple timeline. But this is a state-mandated election code, again, designed to prevent anyone from being elected to a full term in a special election rather than an election where all registered Republicans get to weigh in. So, or all registered voters, I guess, in these nonpartisan races. So there you have it. That's the timeline. Charlie Schill has all the details and some choice quotes from everyone involved here on kind of what a pain this has been for everybody. Tidwell surprised everyone with her announcement. There have been rumors for a bit, but she announced just yesterday that it was official. She would step down. She would leave her elected position on the county council effective December 31st. And she said that it was due to some health issues after 9 years as a member of the Cache County Council. And one of my favorite council members to interview, she said that she'll be stepping down in order to spend more time with her husband. Sounds like he has some health challenges. He's not well. And Tidwell said that she wanted to spend have more time to spend with him, so she's giving up her seat. She told CacheValleyDaily.com, I've come to the conclusion that time spent with my husband is the most important endeavor of my life. We now feel that spending time traveling and enjoying each other's company is the utmost priority. And she was, again, first elected to the council in 2016 and served there for those 9 years. She quickly became a very important person on the council. She served as chair and vice chair at different times, during much of her time, actually. And she guided the council through some pretty challenging times and was key, I think, in getting the council on board with, I think, one of the best decisions the county council has made in a little while, which was the open space bond initiative. I thought that was great, and we've already seen that pay off. So that's quite a legacy for her to leave, but there's much more before that. By the way, this is for the council seat 2, Logan seat 2 on the council, representing roughly the majority of the Adams and Bridger area, Bridger neighborhoods in Logan, and that weird little stretch that goes just a bit north of the Logan Airport. That's Logan seat 2. You can see a map of this on the legislative website, actually, if you want to see exactly where that seat is. Tidwell said, I've enjoyed my time as a public servant, and I truly believe that this is the best country in the best state, and best county in the state, and the best state in the United States. And again, per state law, the vacancy of the Cache County Council and this process to fill out the remainder of Tidwell's unexpired term, which goes until January 1st, 2028, will be officially posted by the Cache County Clerk's office before end of business today, if they haven't posted it already. So, again, if you're interested in running in the special election, there will be different instructions for the full election that will play out in November for the remaining 2 years of Tidwell's 4-year term. But for the special election to serve the next year, basically from January to December of 2026, the Cache County Republican Party is asking that you Preferably submit applications electronically. And again, I've posted this to our Facebook page, but you can also see it in the CacheValleyDaily.com story. And you would email those to the Cache County Chair, Natalie Levi, at chaircashgop@gop.com. Or you can mail a printed, signed application to the Cache GOP at P.O. Box 43, Logan, Utah, 84321. So there you have it. All right, again, coming up, we've got a new sneak peek of a new episode of Sutherland Institute's Defending Ideas on a forgotten education opportunity that they say needs more push, and that is the paid apprenticeship. We've also got a breakdown of the legislation lawmakers will actually be debating tonight in the special session, which now starts at 6, unfortunately. And instead of during our show when we could check in live just for fun, it won't start until 6:11 this evening. But we've got the bills have been made public. Finally, we can break them down. Some great summaries of what exactly will happen in the legislative session tonight, especially when it comes to election law. And before we get to all of that, on the other side, I ran across the coolest website for political junkies. It's similar to a fact check website like Snopes or PolitiFact, where they take current headlines or things that elected officials have recently said and they fact check them and give you the context. This is different, though. This is a group of political scientists who are myth busting, like the now defunct Mythbusters TV show. The top 10 political myths in U.S. history, things we all repeat and have maybe believed since grade school that were never true. We'll talk about it after this look at the news with KVNU's Will Feel Right.
Well, thank you, Jason. Emergency responders in Brigham City and Tremont and Garland area will be switching dispatch centers due to what police chiefs have called years of deficiencies that have jeopardized safety. Now, both city councils recently approved contracts with Weber Area Dispatch 911 to handle police, fire, and EMS operations, citing the Box Elder Communications Center's failure to follow best practices. Now, Brigham City Police Chief Chad Reyes said the issues were also apparent in a tragic shooting that happened last summer where 2 Tremont and Garland officers were killed. Now, the Box Elder Dispatch Center, which is run by the State Department of Public Safety, also faced operational issues, including reportedly dispatching on pen and paper after a cyber attack. Now, the transition to Weber District is scheduled to take place coming up in February. Meanwhile, state officials have launched an investigation into what they call are deficiencies in the center and say they are committed to making improvements. In other news, the Salt Lake County Health Department yesterday confirming a case of measles at the Bingham Copper Kids Child Care Facility that's located in Bingham High School. Now, the infected individual was unvaccinated and the source of the infection remains unknown. The individual was infectious while attending the facility last week. And due to the high contagiousness of measles, the health department and the school district notified everyone in the Bingham High School community of the possible exposure. Now, the health department's executive director, Dorothy Adams, stressed that quick action is critical. They noted that 2 doses of the MMR vaccine prevent over 97% of measles infections. And a West Valley City mother, Maria Castillo, was charged earlier this week in 3rd District Court with aggravated child abuse, a first-degree felony, after allegedly hitting her 10-year-old son with a coat hanger, pulling his hair, and burning his hand. Now, the investigation began back in September when the boy reported that Castillo became angry and assaulted him because he had burned his bird's hair. Now, the boy told investigators that Castillo had hit his right hand with a coat hanger and then held his hand under a heating lamp, causing blisters. Now, he also reported that Castillo was going nuts, biting his hair and punching the top of his head. Now, when questioned by police, Castillo admitted to pulling the boy's hair and forcing his finger to touch the heat lamp, which she later treated with toothpaste. Now, the condition of the bird was not immediately released by law enforcement. Well, these clouds have kept temperatures warmer this afternoon as we've been in the low 50s, and over the next couple of days, we're going to stay right around the mid to low 50s with overnight temperatures staying right around the low 30s. We do still have a chance that we could see a few raindrops tonight into tomorrow, although so far this storm has not produced any moisture at all for us outside the Radio Ranch. But as we head towards Thursday, clouds will start to break up. We'll see some sunshine. That's going to continue into Friday and the weekend, with temperatures even looking ahead to next week. We're still going to stay in the low 50s. And weather this hour brought to you by Bell Sculpt. We all have that one spot. No matter what you do, it stays with us. Whether it's belly, arms, thighs, wherever it is, Bell Sculpt is offering a free consultation with no pressure, just information, if you visit their website. It's bellsculpt.fm. Get more information there at bellsculpt.fm. And I'm Will Feelwright with your KVNU local headlines here at the bottom of the hour.
ABC News, I'm Wayne Cabot. Calls intensified to release the boat strike video. Senior Trump administration officials today briefing top congressional leaders on the second military strike that killed 2 survivors of the first one on an alleged drug-running boat in the Caribbean. Republican Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri supports showing the video to the American public.
Take whatever steps you needed to redact whatever is truly sensitive, but otherwise I'd release it. I mean, I think the American people would like to see it.
A New York federal judge today approved the release of grand jury materials from the trial that sent Jeffrey Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell to prison. We could be seeing that in the next 10 days. The Trump administration's ban on transgenders in the military can stay in place under a stay granted today by an appeals court in D.C. President Trump is speaking tonight about affordability issues in Mount Pocono, Pennsylvania, part of what the White House says will be a nationwide swing this year. This is ABC News.
You work before dawn and long past dusk. At Black Cliffs Equipment, we see that. That's why we bring you Massey Ferguson tractors. Right now, get 0% financing for up to 84 months on select tractor models. Plus, great offers on hay equipment. And when the work gets tough, our service team is here to help with genuine AGCO parts. As a way of saying thanks for all you do, mention this ad when you come in for a free gift. Black Cliffs Equipment, your Massey Ferguson dealer in Hyde Park.
Bringing Wall Street to Main Street. From your local experts in downtown Logan, this is the Adams Wealth Advisors Market Report.
Hi, this is Brooke with Adams Wealth Advisors. Stocks closed flat on Tuesday ahead of tomorrow's Federal Open Market Committee meeting, which is widely expected to cut interest rates for the 3rd time this year, while some speculate that there may be hawkish guidance regarding 2026 interest rate policies. The Dow Jones Industrial Average declined by 179 points to 47,560. The Nasdaq rose by 0.16% to 25,669, and the S&P 500 declined by 0.09% to 6,841. While it was a calm day on the surface, sectors experienced rotational movements, with nearly half of them ending the day in the red and the other half in the green. The best performing sector of the day was energy, even though both oil and natural gas prices declined. The worst performing sector of the day was healthcare. The bond market continued to weaken. The 5-year U.S. Treasury yield rose by 3 basis points to 3.78%, and the 10-year yield rose by 1 basis point to 4.18%. Both Bitcoin and Ethereum posted strong gains, with Bitcoin rising by 2.67% to above the 93,000 level, and Ethereum advanced by 6% to above the 3,300 level. Silver, another precious metal historically used as currency, rose by 4.85% to 61.24, while gold posted a modest gain of 0.51% to 4,240. Economic data surprised to the upside today, with the Small Business Optimism Index edging higher, and October's jobs openings increasing by 100,000 compared to the prior month. We'll be watching the Federal Reserve's actions tomorrow, as well as its future guidance.
That's your update from Adams Wealth Advisors, guiding your financial future one day at a time. For personalized help planning yours, reach out to us at 435-752-1702. See you soon, Cache Valley. Advisory services offered through Adams Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. For important disclosures and more information, visit adamswealthadvisors.com.
You're on your way to work when that little light pops on. The one that says, hey, you need service. But who has time to sit in a waiting room? West Motor Ford will pick up your vehicle from home or work, service it, and bring it right back. Pickup and delivery are completely free within a 35-mile radius. That's anywhere from Malad to Montpelier, Hiram to Tremonton. Plus, get $25 off any repair over $250. Schedule your free pickup and delivery at westmotorford.com or call 208-852-3853.
The Light the World giving machines are returning to Cache Valley, and it all kicks off Monday, December 15th at 6 p.m. on Center Street in Logan. Come enjoy an evening of live music, sparkling lights, and holiday fun. Bring your family and friends as we celebrate the true spirit of Christmas, giving, kindness, and community. Come light up the season with us, Monday, December 15th at 6 p.m. on Center Street in Logan. The giving machines will remain in Logan December 15th through the 31st.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Wednesday on This Morning, America's First News. The abortion debate is having outsized influence as Republicans battle Democrats over extending COVID-era Obamacare insurance subsidies. Also, more Americans are transitioning from moonlighting to polyworking. Hear the difference between the two types of jobs. And with the holiday season in mind, the smart time to arrive for your flight. Wednesday on This Morning, America's First News. From 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM. Your station for news and talk.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. This was a really, really fun read, and I recommend it to anyone who is both a political junkie and a history buff. The book is called Myth America, like Miss America, but Myth, M-Y-T-H. Myth America, historians take on the biggest legends and lies about our past. And there were some that surprised me. There were a few that I knew, but there were quite a few that actually surprised me. I also learned about some old myths that are not really repeated very often. Did you know that for a long, long time, there was a myth that George Washington wasn't actually the first president, that it was a guy named John Hanson, president of the Continental College, that technically was the nation's first president? And there was this group of people, this was a long time ago, but there was this group of people really bent out of shape about that. It's completely false. The office President of the United States was created under the Constitution in 1787, long time after Hanson died. But yeah, there was this group of contrarian historians 200 years ago, 150 years ago, that were adamant that everybody had it wrong, that Hanson was actually the first president, technically. That was one myth I learned about, not often repeated today. I'd never actually even heard that before. But apparently it was a popular myth for a really long time. The book covers some contemporary stuff that was just kind of funny. The myth that George W. Bush Jr., had the lowest IQ of all presidents. Two things on this. IQ has become this thing on Twitter, especially as a measure of intelligence, and it is the worst way to measure intelligence. That aside, the low IQ myth of George W. Bush Jr., was reportedly discovered by the website Lovenstein, reported as being discovered by the website lovenstein.org. The problem is it's a website dedicated to something called the Lovenstein Institute, which has never existed. There is no actual report. It was just something someone put on a website, and everyone ran with it in the early 2000s. So there were, in this book, Myth America, there were some things like that were just kind of, haha. There were some contemporary things, too, that most people listening might remember. Have you heard the claim that Al Gore claimed to have invented the Internet? Gore himself actually jokes about this now. There was a whole South Park episode on this as well. He never actually said it. It was an interview where the myth came from is in 1999. He talked about that he was asked what he was most proud of or what he'd voted on that ended up really mattering more than he thought it would at the time. And he cited a vote for a funding bill that he said led to the funding led to the creation of the internet. It was a military funding bill for a DARPA, an expanded DARPA program. And Gore said, in his exact quote is, "I didn't even know at the time what the potential of this funding was. I just knew it was a good idea at the time, and it ended up being this funding ended up being a bigger deal than we thought. It basically led to the creation of the internet." But again, he said that funding and the research it helped pay for is what led to the creation of the internet. He didn't say I did it, but that's a persistent myth. The still used today meme, and this was, I think, a skit several times on Saturday Night Live at the time, around the 2008 election and after. But you've heard that Sarah Palin supposedly said she could see Russia from her house. Never said it. Never said it. This is one of the more pervasive ones. Everyone that I've ever talked to, this is one I knew wasn't true before. But I've asked people, I've never run into a single person who didn't think she actually said that. That's how pervasive this myth was. She didn't say it. It was an interview when then Governor Palin stated that there were parts of Alaska where people could actually see Russia, which is true. Not all the time, but geographically, this is possible, and with the right equipment, not the naked eye. And she said, now the criticism she got was because she gave that answer as a answer to a question about her foreign policy experience, which is a horrible answer to that question. What's your foreign policy experience? Well, in parts of Russia you can see, or in parts of Alaska you can see Russia. It's still a nonsense answer for someone wanting to be vice president, but she never said she could see Russia from her house. It was a joke that popped up online, and then that very weekend after she first made the comment, popular comedian Tina Fey was in a Saturday Night Live skit where she said, "I could see Russia from my house," but Palin never actually said it. Another myth that it gets a lengthy chapter in the book because it really is some interesting political history. But you hear this, and you hear it from both sides. But the general claim is that the Republican Party is the party of racial discrimination and always has been. Now, you can make the argument today that the Republican Party of today embraces positions that many are going to easily claim are racial discrimination. But as the historians write in this book, Myth America, that ignores a lot of history because it's known as the political realignment. And basically what happened is on a couple of issues, including civil rights, racial discrimination, and more, the parties basically switched places in the early part of the 20th century. Roughly the late 40s into the late 60s was when that, historians say, that took place. And famously in 1964, a group of 19 senators, 18 of whom were Democrats, 1964 is when this happened. 19 senators, 1 Republican, 18 Democrats, filibustered the Civil Rights Act for 54 days. Can you imagine? I mean, yeah. So, but what happened after that as the 60s wound down is the parties kind of swapped positions on those issues. Democrats dropped their Southern strategy, as it was known, and kind of gave the boot to a lot of their Southern representatives. Figuratively, they were still in office, of course, and embraced the civil rights movement, whereas the Republican Party kind of drifted in the other direction at the time. So there was this realignment of the parties. But prior to that, those who were the most staunch and outspoken supporters of civil rights and equality were actually Republicans until that mid to late 60s flip where the two parties kind of changed positions on it. So that's one of the myths they bust in this book. And this one's really interesting, again, because it's the lengthiest chapter, and they really get into the weeds. They follow that up with a myth about Democrats, which is the Democrats are the party that is opposed to war. And it's interesting because you see Democrats run on this when it's convenient and not mention this myth when it isn't convenient. But either way, it is a myth. The Democratic Party The wars that have taken place, for example, just since September 11th, 2001, of course, the president was a Republican, George W. Bush, and he led us into war in Iraq and Afghanistan. And that's ended up in historical hindsight being a very unpopular move across the board, both parties. But what a lot of people forget is that some of the most vocal Democrats at the time were in support of it, including Hillary Clinton, former secretary and one-time presidential candidate John Kerry, and famously Joe Biden. Joe Biden was, as a United States senator, very pro-war in that case. But there is a lengthy history that goes back in which the historians point out you can find both prominent members of both parties being what you might call pro-war and being what you might call anti-war, depending on the specific skirmish. There's an interesting part where they talk about Harry Truman inserting the United States into the Korean conflict as part of his presidential doctrine to fight communism. And of course, Truman, coming in and being given credit basically for ending World War II with that fateful order to drop the nuclear bombs. Lyndon Johnson did the same in Vietnam, and that the historians say is kind of why modern political junkies and even just casual historians believe the Republican Party is more the party of war and the Democrats are anti-war. But they say if you look through history, it's actually pretty difficult to count up one party being more pro-war or anti-war over the other because depending on which war we're talking about, the parties, historically have changed places very many times. So, again, this is just a handful of it. The book, again, is a fascinating. I listened, but you can also buy it and read if you're into the physical book thing. It has essays by some pretty prominent historians: Kathleen Belew, Eric Hellman, Karen Cox, Kevin Cruz, Joshua Zeitz. These are historians that run the gamut politically themselves. Some are outspoken conservatives, some are outspoken progressives, but they collectively wrote this book over a 2-year period. And it's called Myth America. Historians take on the biggest legends and lies about our past. And it's a fascinating thing to go through. So link on our Facebook page. Those are just a few of them that I've skimmed there. One last one, actually. This is one that's also very pervasive, I think, in our American mythology, but it gets controversial. They do spend a lot of time on a myth that comes from World War II. And the myth has become part of our national consciousness. And the myth is that Americans, once they learned what Nazism was about, that we were all for going to war. The public polling that exists and the historical writing that exists suggests that even as we entered the war after Pearl Harbor, the public didn't really know what the war was about and why we were going in. And so polls were pretty mixed. What actually, from a historical perspective, got Americans on board is the war effort itself. After we entered World War II, a lot of jobs were created, and people were making a lot more money at a lot of those jobs. And that, historians say, is actually what made our entrance into World War II popular politically. So it's a really interesting book. Again, it's called Myth America. Historians take on the biggest legends and lies about our past by a collection of historians. I've linked to a summary of the book on our Facebook page, and we'll be back right after this.
Discount Tire. So much more than a tire store.
Stop what you're doing and get to Discount Tire and Automotive right now. Winter travel is coming, and your family's safety depends on a properly serviced vehicle. They do oil changes, alignments, shocks, struts, and brakes. Everything needed to keep your family safe on the road. Don't risk holiday travel without seeing Discount Tire first. Layaway, no credit check financing, in 12 months, no interest available. Get in now to Discount Tire and Automotive.
Discount Tire. So much more than a tire store.
Got sinus issues or trouble hearing? What about tonsil issues? Don't let discomfort hold you back. Intermountain Budge ENT Clinic is ready to help. With expert care in ear, nose, and throat health, Dr. Matthew A. Wilson and Dr. Andrew J. Goetz provide personalized treatments, including thyroid surgery, to get you feeling your best. Breathe easier, hear clearer, and live better. Call Budge Clinic ENT today at 435-716-1420. Local care with Intermountain expertise.
Are allergies affecting your day-to-day life? Intermountain Budge Clinic's allergy and immunology team can help. Drs. Scott Dixon and new provider Tyson Brown, the only board-certified allergists in the Valley, treat everything from seasonal and perennial allergies, asthma, food or drug reactions, hives, and more with personalized care. Don't wait for the next flare-up. Call 435-716-1820 or visit budgeclinicallergy.com to schedule your appointment. Intermountain Budge Clinic Allergy and Immunology. Breathe easier, live better.
Wednesday edition, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show. We will break down the absolute latest on the deadline for Maduro to potentially leave Venezuela, plus the ongoing battle over Supreme Court decisions as it pertains to what Trump can and cannot do, and all of the talk surrounding the end of the year and all of the goals of the beginning of next year. We'll break it down for you on Clay and Buck.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM and 610 AM.
Coming up in hour 2 of today's show, a new sneak preview of a new episode of Sutherland Institute's Defending Ideas. Sutherland saying that we need to renew our interest in paid apprenticeships to get people into the workforce faster. That's coming up at the start of the hour. We'll break down the bills lawmakers will be debating tonight starting at 6 in the special session, and what both sides told the Utah Supreme Court today in a request to lift an injunction that has halted the construction of the Heaver Valley, Utah Temple. All of that coming up in hour 2 here on KVNU Logan.